And good Monday afternoon to you, wherever you may be. 3 o'clock on the East Coast, 12 o'clock on the West Coast. For Monday, August 9th, 2021, this is the Make the Money and Run podcast. Vasi Vadaparty, your solo host today for you. For the next half hour or so, we'll talk about Major League Baseball. The NBA Summer League has started off. Free agency has gone wild in the NBA as well, too. Training camps have opened in the NFL. We are 19 days away from college football. Nebraska, Illinois will be the first game that opens this year, the Big Ten having a conference game to open up. So shout out to Dan Lust. Our sports attorney has become part of Husker Nation somehow, some way the last few years he has. So he's all over the Big Ten now as far as Nebraska football. Of course, Oklahoma and Texas have decided to go to the SEC. Why doesn't the SEC just have their own conference and their own conference championship? CBS can have all their games, CBS Sports Network, CBS Online. They can have all the games and they can just have their own championship, and the rest of college football can play off against each other. The Pac-12, the Big Ten, the Big 12, the ACC, what is the other big conferences? The Mountain Conference, the Mountain West Conference, and the MAC Conference. They can all play off against each other. As far as power conferences, 4 power conferences and the SEC are out there. A lot of that going on with college football. We'll get to the futures odds. Alabama, Clemson, Georgia, Ohio State, Oklahoma lead the way. We'll get to the other odds of any teams that are under 1,000 to 1 or plus 1,000, I should say, are all only 4 teams in college football. Major League Baseball, we've got the Giants, the Brewers, and the red-hot Philadelphia Phillies leading the division. We've got in the American League, we got the Tampa Bay Rays on a winning streak. We've got the Chicago White Sox running away, and Houston and Oakland battling out for the AL West. Of course, the wild cards are all in the middle of that as well, too. So a big week planned. Lots of good baseball from last week. Lots of good baseball coming up this week as well, too, as we get into the dog days of summer, the second week of August. The trading deadline we know took place on July 30th. So we're 9 days away, almost 10 days away from the All-Star trade from the trading deadline. And some certain things have happened. Chris Bryant has come out against the Cubs management. Some of the other trades that have gone on have gone well. Milwaukee got stung a little bit over the weekend by the Giants. The Cubs got stung big time by their crosstown rival White Sox, and then the Philadelphia Phillies showed that they're a better team over the New York Mets by sweeping the Mets yesterday, including Zach Wheeler's performance. All that and more, but let's start out with something that I wanted to bring up first. I don't know if you saw the post. A couple of instances that happened, and again, this is not the type of show to bring this up, but last week there was a story on Omar Vizquel that our friend Dan Lust and his podcast Conduct Detrimental had brought up about some behavior, alleged assault behavior, and things like that. Of course, in the wake of Trevor Bauer, in the wake of all the things that are going on in the world out there, and as fast as we report them, everybody wants to be first without being credible for that. And I'm guilty of that as well, too. So I just wanted to look into that Omar Vizquel situation. I've gotten some flack back for saying that somebody should check on what his childhood life was like, see if this was something that had come up. Not saying that if he's guilty, he shouldn't have the book thrown at him. I just want to make that part clear. And then yesterday there was a post that came out, and there was instantaneous reaction, and I was part of it, where Lewis Brinson of the Miami Marlins ended up getting what everybody thought was the N-word from a fan in the stands in Colorado yesterday. The Rockies mascot's name is Dinger, and apparently, based on posts that were later on, the Rockies have come out and confirmed it, that the stage was set where somebody had gotten out there and somebody had posted it and said N-word this, N-word that, multiple times without anybody coming up to stop it. And the fact is that we should have probably looked into it deeper. The Rockies have confirmed. I would think the Rockies and the employees of the Rockies would stop somebody if that word was coming out the first time it came out, rather than let it go on constantly. So for that, I'll give the Rockies the benefit of the doubt. And secondly, for all of us bloggers and social media posters, let's not go with instantaneous reactions. Let's look at the story first before we start posting things and start giving reactions out, because all it does is cause a firestorm. All it does is not let us have the ability to listen to other people. All it does is not have the ability to communicate with each other and open up. And as I said in a post earlier, look at what's happened in the last 5 years in politics. Total brush fires all over the place. Nobody listening to anybody. Nobody taking any communication lessons. Nobody having different viewpoints that are allowable. Freedom of speech. There are consequences for certain freedoms of speech that are out there, but you just got to watch yourself. And we all should do a better job of that, because I think communication is still the key. All right, enough of that. Wanted to make sure I got that out there. When we come back in 30 seconds, Major League Baseball, what's going on with Major League Baseball. The division races are tightening up. The wild card races are tightening up. Lots of things going on as far as Major League Baseball goes. Some big matchups this week as well. Back in 30 seconds, Vasivada Party powered by Stables Media. Thanks to everybody on Facebook Live and on YouTube Live. You can catch us every Monday, Thursdays, and Fridays right now at 3 Eastern, 12 Eastern on Thursdays, Fridays at 1 Eastern on Facebook and YouTube. You can download, subscribe anywhere you get your podcast. You can send us emails as well, too, mtmarpodcast@gmail. You can find us on Facebook. Charlie and I both have Facebook and Instagram. You can send us notes as well, too. So back with nothing but sports and sports wagering angles in 30 seconds. This is the Make the Money and Run podcast for August 9th, 2021. Vasivada Party back with you here on the Make the Money and Run podcast for Monday, August 9th, 2021. Thanks to everybody on Facebook and YouTube Live. Shout out to everybody that sent us notes, sent us questions on the email, sent us Facebook notes and questions as well, too. Appreciate the support that we're getting from everybody. Shout out to some of the groups that have picked us up as well, too, on Facebook and on Instagram as well. You can catch us every Mondays, Thursdays, and Fridays right here on Facebook Live and on YouTube Live, as well as download, subscribe, anywhere you get that. You just find that logo up there in the corner for Make the Money and Run. You catch us up there as well, too. Powered by Stables Media. And we're here. Check out Stables Media for all of the types of shows that we have, not just sports related or sports wagering related. But we're here for you. And if you're interested in doing a podcast, check it out as well, too. All right, let's get to Major League Baseball. Let's start in the National League. How about the weekend that was? The San Francisco Giants are not a fluke. I live in the Bay Area. Obviously, anybody thought that they were going to be where they are right now, 31 games over 500, 30 games over 500. An off day today. San Francisco Giants going to Milwaukee, second best team in the National League. They take 2 out of 3. Now, let's face facts here. Milwaukee did gift wrap a couple of wins to them. Saturday night, Avisail Garcia played the ball off Tommy La Stella, tied the game. They had a chance to win in the 10th inning, ended up tying the game up, and then the Giants ended up scoring in the 11th inning, ended up winning that game. And then yesterday, a big comeback from 3-1 down on the Brewers bullpen. Good at bats, grinding at bats for the Giants. Good teams will grind at bats, take a lot of pitches, able to get there. Now, there's nothing wrong with going after first pitches if you want to ambush or want to go after quick, but the fact is that the Giants grind out at bats, winning teams grind out at bats. Milwaukee does as well, too. They had good at bats yesterday all weekend. It was just a good series. It could be a playoff series down the road. Who knows? Probably an NLCS, by the way. Both teams are standing right now, 1-2. The only way they'd meet right now, if it ends today, would be in the National League Championship Series as well. The Cincinnati Reds have become red hot. They've won 5 straight, including a sweep over the Pittsburgh Pirates over the weekend. They are now 5.5 back in the Milwaukee Brewers. I believe 5 back, if I'm not mistaken. Let me check this here as I look at it. But the sweep and 5 in a row, they open up their crosstown rivals with the Cleveland Indians tonight. We'll get to the games in a second, but it's Luis Castillo who's been on fire lately, going up against Sam Hentges, 1-4, 7.86 ERA. Excuse me for a second here. Solo axe here. Got to get to it here a little bit. So anyway, the Cincinnati Reds are 5 back in the loss column, 5 back in games. They're 61-51, 10 games over 500. They've won 5 in a row. The Brewers have lost 2 in a row, so they've made up a couple of games. In the wild card, the San Diego Padres have faltered a little bit, though they did take 2 out of 3 from the Arizona Diamondbacks this weekend. But the Cincinnati Reds are 2 games back at 51 losses. The Padres have 49 losses. Still no Fernando Tatis in the lineup for the Padres, but the Reds are red hot, 5 back. Bullpen still needs a little work, but they did well over the weekend to hold off the Pittsburgh Pirates, who have given teams problems this year. The Reds have won 5 straight. They're right there. Nobody hotter than the Philadelphia Phillies right now. Everybody thought they had the best team going. They've got the best offense. Their bullpen has finally been shored up. Ian Kennedy in a trade with the Rangers, able to come in and solidify that bullpen a little bit. Ranger Suarez was closing games after Joe Girardi finally, after a year and a half, decided to pull Neris out of the closer spot. How about Zach Wheeler? Zach Wheeler having an unbelievable year. The former New York Met shut down his mates on 2 hits and 1 walk, a complete game shutout in a 3-0 win, over the Mets. That's a sweep. That puts them at 2.5 games up, I believe. 2 games up on the Atlanta Braves, 2.5 up on the Mets. Both the Braves and Mets are equal in loss columns, so we'll just go 2 games right now. Mets and Braves tied, as the Braves took 2 out of 3 from Washington over the weekend. They could have swept. One bad pitch on Friday night, a 3-run home run in the top of the 9th inning off Will Smith, turned that game around for the Nationals, and they ended up winning the game. Washington now 9 games back at 50-62. They had the trade. They had the fire sale. They and the Cubs had the fire sale of the trades. Not sure if they're going to make any run at it or not. 9 games back, probably not. In the wild card, they're 13.5 back. So Washington Nationals are pretty much out of it right now. Padres hanging on in the wild card right now. Dodgers and Padres lead the wild card, but it's very tenuous right now. The Dodgers have a 3.5 game lead, 4 games in the loss column on the Padres. They're in the same division, second and third place right now. And Cincinnati, Atlanta, the Mets, St. Louis, all between 2.5 and 8 games back. Cincinnati, 2 back in the loss column, 6 back for Atlanta and New York, 7 back for the Cardinals. Cubs are 12 out. They're out of it by far and away after this weekend against the White Sox. Not a good showing for the Chicago Cubs. But let's get back to the Phillies for a second. 8th straight. They're 59-53. Joe Girardi finally has them playing well. He's got the offense going. He doesn't have Rhys Hoskins in the lineup. Brad Miller has been great off the bench. Torreyes has been great off the bench. Alec Boehm is coming into his own as a second-year player. Gene Segura, he wakes up out of bed with 2 hits every day. Didi Gregorius, back healthy at shortstop, having himself a pretty good year. And then McCutcheon, been off and on. Bryce Harper put himself back in the MVP candidacy with the output that he's had. Bryce Harper, 19 home runs now, 18 of them solo. He hit another one on Saturday, and he's improved the Philadelphia Phillies. They're 8-2 in their last 10, and they've won 8 in a row. They're still -5 in run differential. Go figure that, but they are the hottest team. Yesterday, the Philadelphia Phillies retired Roy Halladay's number, Doc Halladay, number 34. He sat in between Steve Carlton, number 32, and Robin Roberts, number 36. As he placed his placard on the board, of course, Halladay passed away tragically in 2017 in the airplane, in the little motor plane, I don't know what they call those planes over the Florida Everglades, but he crashed his plane and died, unfortunately. He's in the Hall of Fame. Unfortunately, the family could not make it because of COVID issues, and so the Phillies had a great day. Raul Ibanez spoke well, but Zach Wheeler said he wanted to pitch on Roy Halladay's day, and he did, and he looked like Roy Halladay. That was about the closest that I'd seen anybody come to a Roy Halladay outing since his playoff outings 11 years ago against the Reds. 2 hits, 1 walk for Zach Wheeler. Gives them 8 in a row. They are 2 games up on the Atlanta Braves and the New York Mets. 2 games up on the New York Mets and the Atlanta Braves in the National League East. The National League Central, the Milwaukee Brewers still have a comfortable lead. They are 5 up on the Reds right now, but the Reds are charging hard. The Reds have the Indians. Today, the Brewers are off today. Actually, the Brewers are at Chicago. A month ago, that would have been a great series for the Brewers and the Cubs, but the Cubs faltered. They lost 12 out of 15, and the Brewers have taken over that division. They look like they're going to be a good playoff team. They look like they're a good team. Josh Hader out for coronavirus right now, but he'll be back. Devin Williams has done well in the 8th and 9th innings now, and they've got a bullpen that's pretty good. Hitting-wise, they're still down in hitting. They got Eduardo Escobar. Mental mistakes cost the Brewers this weekend. Total gift wrap for some of the games on the Giants. Giants took advantage of it. Eduardo Escobar, a veteran in the big leagues, forgot to retouch second base on a fly ball to left field. He was out at second base, and that saved the Giants a potential loss. It was 5-4 at that point late in the game. Total bonehead play by Escobar. Physical errors are going to happen. Mental errors don't happen a lot. All right, let's get to the National League games for today. The Milwaukee Brewers, we said Freddie Peralta and Alec Mills, 9 the total, 182. Cubs coming off a horrendous weekend, and don't you think the White Sox fans love any time that they can get at their crosstown rivals? Cubs get all the publicity. Cubs get all the fanfare. White Sox clearly having the better season. They are second in record, tied with the Astros for second best record in the American League, all trailing the National and tied with Milwaukee as far as best record overall, all trailing the San Francisco Giants, who are 71 and 41. But Milwaukee 182 with Freddie Peralta, Alec Mills, who's pitched pretty well, but the Cubs struggling right now, 9 the total. The only other National League game tonight, Joe Musgrove and the San Diego Padres kind of maintain their wild card pace. Don't know if the division's still in their hands with Tatis out. Their defense is still not very good, but Adam Frazier's come in and hit the ball well. Drake Cronenworth. If you haven't had a chance to see Jake Cronenworth play, he's an all-star. He's playing shortstop now for the Padres this year. He's a University of Michigan man, but they've got the Cronenworth Cronen Zone out there. Don Orsillo, Mark Grant doing the broadcasts out there have clearly named the Cronen Zone out there in right center field for Jake Cronenworth, who's having a good year for the Padres. They have the Miami Marlins, Zach Thompson, the young right-hander, going 245. You know how we feel about heavy favorites in baseball. The Padres were about a $2 plus favorite on Friday night. The Diamondbacks came back, being down 5-0, got the win 8-5 on Friday. Padres take the next two games, maintain the 2 out of 3 against Arizona. But Zach Thompson, Joe Musgrove tonight in the National League. All right, let's move on to the American League notes. As we get to the American League notes, lots of things going on in the American League notes as we see right here. The Tampa Bay Rays have won 4 straight. They are 5 up in the loss column on the Boston Red Sox. The Yankees took 3 out of 4 from Seattle. Probably should have split Saturday. Seattle had a 4-1 lead. They could not hold it. Yankees ended up winning that game. Seattle 6 back along with Toronto in the wild card race behind the Red Sox. Chicago swept the Cubs over the weekend. The White Sox 3 straight, 9 up on Cleveland in the loss column. I know it says 10.5 in the game's back, but you look at the loss column when it comes to standings. The Cleveland Indians are out of the race, and they're out of the wild card race as well, too. The White Sox cruising. What a night for Eloy Jimenez. 2 home runs, 5 RBIs for the young rookie, and they get Luis Robert back in center field, too. So the talent coming in, Tony La Russa not screwing it up. As he said on national TV last night, was relayed by Matt Vasgersian and Alex Rodriguez. By the way, a great job on ABC last night, the first time on ABC in 30 years. First night game. This is the anniversary of the first night game at Wrigley Field last night, too, and a nice touch to bring Al Michaels into the booth to kind of relive those experiences. 33 years ago, 1988. I remember that well. The Cubs and Phillies with the lights up there was a big deal on ESPN. I was a sophomore in college, and I remember watching. I think ESPN carried the game that night. So the White Sox playing well. They're 9 up in the loss column, as we said. They're cruising. They've won 3 in a row. They're plus 121 differential. Lucas Giolito goes tonight. We'll get to the games in a second. The AL West has become very tight. The Astros had a tough time with the Minnesota Twins over the weekend. The Astros lost Sunday. They won Saturday. They had to come back on Saturday to win. But they split the series with the Minnesota Twins over the weekend, and they're only 2 up on the Oakland A's right now. The Oakland A's have won 4 straight. The Wednesday walk-off against the Padres, sweeping the Rangers over the weekend. They're 2 up on the A's. Boston is 1 up on Oakland right now in the loss column. Oakland is 1 up on Boston. They have less losses. Boston's the second wild card team now, as Oakland has overtaken the first spot. They get a home game for this wild card game. If they don't win the division, that's going to be beneficial for the Oakland A's as well. So Boston in second place, and they are up by 4. They're up by 1 game over the Yankees. They're up by 1 game over the Blue Jays, and they're up by 5 games on Seattle as well in the wild card standings. So there you see it right there. All the news and notes in the American League. In the American League Central, like I said, pretty much settled with the White Sox. Good race by the Rays and the Red Sox for the division. I'm sure the Red Sox want to win the division, but right now they're 4 games back, 5 in the loss column, 2-8 in their last 10 is Boston, losing 2 out of 3 to Detroit last weekend, and then losing yesterday to Toronto on a walk-off by Springer. Red Sox plus 33 in run differential. Big series coming up. A lot of teams have the day off today, but as far as the Red Sox go, they're going to host the Tampa Bay Rays for 3 games, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. So it'll be a chance for the Red Sox to make some moves back in the American League East and hopefully on the wild card. The A's will go to Cleveland this week as well, too. And then Seattle, I believe, is at home. Yeah, they have the Rangers. And in the American League Central, the White Sox are playing Minnesota. That game tonight, it's a 3-game series starting tonight in Minnesota. And then, of course, Boston and Tampa Bay play. The Yankees are playing in Kansas City. So Jameson Taillon, who was pitcher of the month in July, goes tonight against the young rookie Carlos Hernandez. If you haven't seen Carlos Hernandez pitch for the Royals, it's something to see. 100 miles an hour, got a great slider, shut down the White Sox 2 games in a row, once in Chicago and once in Kansas City last week. So he's a good matchup for the Yankees tonight. Yankees don't hit in the clutch. I could probably see Hernandez having a good game tonight. Again, the lines and the overs and unders coming up in a second as far as the American League goes. In fact, we'll get to that right now. The American League games that we have tonight going are the Chicago White Sox, 187 for Giolito. And Burrows, I don't have the pitchers here. It's Taillon and Hernandez, but the Yankees, 171 and 10 in Kansas City tonight. Both those games go at 8 o'clock Eastern, 5 o'clock on the West Coast. So those are the two American League games. And then the one interleague game we've already talked about, the Cincinnati Reds and the Cleveland Indians. They don't like each other in Ohio. Cincinnati on the upswing, Cleveland on the downswing. Big series for the Indians, big series for the Reds. If they have any chance of catching the Brewers, they've got to start winning games on the road. They had a good series at home against the Pirates over the weekend, but the Cincinnati Reds right now, the hottest team, the second hottest team in the National League behind the Philadelphia Phillies as we speak. So those are the lines for the game right now. We'll get to the picks in a second, but a lot to talk about in baseball, a lot going on. We talked about the trade deadline a few weeks ago where everybody was involved. Lots of teams going back and forth. One trade deadline, you can still pick up players on waivers who've been released, who've been designated for assignment, DFA'd in the vernacular that's being used in baseball. The World Series odds, nothing has changed in the World Series odds. The Dodgers, after their acquisition of Scherzer and Turner, good starting rotation, still having a tough time hitting. They did lose one game on Friday that they shouldn't have lost on Friday night to the Angels. The Freeway Series, they did take 2 out of 3 from the Angels over the weekend. They're plus 300. The Astros are plus 500. The White Sox at plus 600. Milwaukee, the Mets, San Diego, San Francisco, all still plus 1,100. A little surprised to see the Padres there, still plus 1,100. Boston and Tampa Bay at plus 1,200. The Yankees at 1,800. Oakland at plus 2,000. And Toronto at plus 2,500. Those are all odds of what you'll get if you put $100 down on the bet. All right, we'll take a break. We'll get to the NBA a little bit. I want to thank Tom, David, and Taylor for checking in on Facebook with us. Thanks to everybody on YouTube as well. We're here every Mondays, Thursdays, and Fridays right here on Facebook Live and YouTube Live as well. NBA Summer League, NBA Free Agency, also a little college football, a Hall of Fame weekend in the NFL. Some great speeches. If you watched it, we'll talk about it a little bit. Back in 30 seconds, the Make the Money and Run podcast. Vasi Vadaparty, your solo host today on this Monday, August 9th. See you in 30. This is the Make the Money and Run podcast, third segment of the show for Monday, August 9th. Vasi Vadaparty, your solo host. How about college football starting in 2 weeks? I'm representing right here my San Jose State Spartans. I know they're in Humboldt County right now in training camp. How you doing, Coach Brennan? Coach Fred, getting the boys ready for another good year in the Mountain West Conference. Hopefully keep up with all the big boys in the conference. You are the big boys in the conference, defending champions. Very proud alum here. So representing San Jose State Spartans. So college football starts in 19 days. We'll get to that as well, too. Thanks to everybody on Facebook Live, YouTube Live as well. We just went through a lot of the baseball. Let me just recap some of the baseball games that are going to go on this week. Angels, Blue Jays, Tigers, Orioles, Cardinals, Pirates, Dodgers, Phillies. That's going to be a good series. Phillies red hot. Dodgers try to cool them off. Nationals, Mets, A's, Indians, Rays, Red Sox, Reds, Braves will be a good series. Both teams fighting for the wild card there. The Brewers, Cubs start tonight. Rockies, Astros, White Sox, Twins start tonight. Yankees, Royals start tonight. Giants and D-backs have a day off. They're in San Francisco for 2 games tomorrow before the Rockies come in this weekend into San Francisco. Mariners trying to hold on to the wild card. Lost 3 out of 4 to the Yankees. Texas comes in for 3 games this week starting tomorrow. And the Marlins and Padres will continue their series in San Diego tomorrow, undetermined yet. Padres going with a bullpen game tomorrow night as well, too. All right, that'll wrap it up for baseball. We mentioned last week Texas and Oklahoma unanimously voted in by the SEC presidents, 14-0. They're going to come in a couple of years as well, too. What's your feeling on the SEC? Should they just be their own entity? Let them have their own conference. Let them have their own championship game. They do, but who needs to have them be part of the BCS? Clearly, they want to dominate. Clearly, they want to go after it all. I don't know if it's good for college football. It's weakening the rest of the conferences. There's ways to get around that, I guess. But if you're the Big Ten, you're the ACC, you're the Pac-12, you're the SEC, or you're the Big East, you're the MAC, you're the Mountain West, you're any of the other conferences, power or otherwise, how are you going to compete with this when you're getting all the recruits? And now the NIL is out there. The names, images, likeness is out there as well, too. Obviously, the SEC guys are going to get the more money from the endorsements. I understand it's supply and demand. We're a capitalist society. I get it. But I'm not sure how good this is going to be for the overall landscape of college football going forward. But hey, it's not about the game itself. It's about the money. It's about what you can do with the game and how it's going to help you down the road. So that's my little soliloquy on that. This is the way it's going, and there's nothing you can do about it. I'm all in favor of college kids making some money for themselves, because for years they were not making any money, and the universities were making money hand over fist on the athletes and their images and their jerseys and the whatnot as far as college football goes. Yeah, they're getting an education, but how many of them really take advantage of the education? Let's give it to kids who really want the education, who really want to be there as well, too. Let's not make this a facade for college as well, too, because I'm a big believer in college education, as are most of you that are out there as well, too. But let's see college sports for what it is now. It's a money grab. It's become a pro league in some cases. And I'm sorry to say that I've kind of come over on that tune. I used to say kids should stay for 4 years in college, but now with all the money out there, it's hard to stay in college for longer than a year when you know you're going to get that money, because what's the object of college? Is to go to college and be able to make money when you get out and be a productive citizen in life. So if you're going to do that after 1 year of college or trade school or wherever you go, I'm all for it as well. All right, moving on with the Make the Money and Run podcast for Wednesday, August 9th. By the way, shout out to everybody looking at us on Facebook and YouTube Live as well, too. Taylor, David, and Tom looking out there as well, too. How about the NBA, the Summer League going right now, some of the trades that have gone place. This New Orleans-Chicago trade is getting to be scrutinized quite a bit. They're playing each other in Summer League today. There are lines out there for Summer League games. I don't know how many of you are into the Summer League games. You got to really know the college guys and the walk-on free agents to know what you're doing in terms of wagering. But I will give you some advice on this. They are 10-minute quarters. They are not shooting as many free throws. The penalty and bonus and free throws are very limited. So the totals are in the 160s, 170s. They are 10-minute quarters, as we said, and they're getting assistant coaches from every team to coach these Summer League teams and give them experience, as well as the players that were there too. So I'm no expert on the Summer League. I've watched a little bit of it, both on NBA TV and ESPN2. And if you want to see some of the college kids that are playing, Cade Cunningham was featured yesterday for the Detroit Pistons. Jalen Green for the Rockets yesterday as well, too. Both of them came out and played well. Cade Cunningham still working on his jump shot, but defensively, he's all there. The Pistons have themselves a good one as well, too, and Jalen Green out there as well to begin with. Some of the other teams are getting going as well today, the Warriors and the Magic. We'll get to the schedule in a second. We do have lines out there for people that are interested. Games are going to start. There is one game that just went off at noon West Coast time in Las Vegas. They're playing at the Cox Pavilion and at the Thomas and Mack Center on the campus of UNLV is where they're holding Summer League. So we talked about Kyle Lowry, Spencer Dinwiddie, Eric Pascal, DeMar Alonzo to the Bulls. They're looking at that. The Pelicans and the Bulls are getting investigated in terms of tampering situations there. So we'll see how it goes. Kemba Walker goes to the New York Knicks. Russell Westbrook to the Lakers. Kuzma, Harrell, Caldwell Pope. I think it's going to be a good trade for Washington. The impact the Lakers get. They also get Carmelo Anthony. Not sure how it's going to help them defensively. He's not going to help them at all. Kawhi Leonard declined his option with the Clippers. He can still be signed. Chris Paul also declined his option, but he got re-signed by Phoenix. In fact, he was there in Vegas. They were having a big party for the teammate, Cameron Payne's birthday yesterday. They featured that on ESPN a little bit last night as well, too. So Kawhi Leonard declined his option with the Clippers. Let's get to the NBA lines for today. The Summer League lines. Chicago was a 2-point favorite over New Orleans, 164.5. Philadelphia 4 and 168 over Dallas. Memphis 3.5 versus Brooklyn, 168.5. Sacramento Pick'em versus Charlotte, 164.5. San Antonio 1 over Minnesota, 161.5. Orlando 3 versus Golden State, 171. That's one of the higher totals I've seen at 171. So I think there's going to be a lot of offense there. Clippers 2.5 versus Milwaukee, 165, and Utah 4.5 versus Phoenix, 166. Some of these matchups would be great regular season matchups, but I'll be honest, I don't have a clue in terms of the NBA Summer League. So we'll see where it takes us from there. But it'll be interesting to see how the Summer League goes. Every team is guaranteed 5 games, 75 games over 10 days. The next 2 weeks, the free agent process going through right now. Teams getting ready. It's going to be a shortened offseason again as they're going back to a regular schedule in October for the NBA. All right, one more break. We'll come back, talk NFL Hall of Fame weekend. We'll talk college football. We'll talk futures odds as well to Vasi Vadaparty, your solo host here on the Make the Money and Run podcast every Monday, Thursday, and Friday right here on Facebook Live and YouTube Live. You can download and subscribe anywhere you find your podcast. Just find that logo up there in the corner, Make the Money and Run. Pass it along to your friends. Anything sports wagering related, we have it on our radar. Back in 30 seconds with the final segment of the Make the Money and Run podcast for this Monday, August 9th. Vasi Vadaparty here with the Make the Money and Run podcast, your bonehead solo host for today. Forgot to turn the mic back on after that last drink of water there for the last part. Let's get back to the NBA real quick. I just want to make sure the NBA Summer League, lots of things going on in the NBA Summer League, 75 games over 10 days. If you didn't hear that part, everybody's going to be guaranteed 5 games. The NBA free agency, sign and trades taking place. Lots of things going on in the NBA in Las Vegas this week. Lots of deals, lots of backroom deals going on, as well to the investigation of tampering for the Pelicans and the Chicago Bulls, and the trade that sent DeRozan from San Antonio, but also the trade between the Pelicans and the Bulls as well too. And Lonzo Ball included in that trade going to the Chicago Bulls. They're playing each other right now. That line off the board, you see the lines up here. Again, I have no clue on the wagering part of it. I'm watching it. I've seen some of the college kids that I recognize from the March Madness tournament last year, obviously different March Madness tournament. Cade Cunningham's a great defender. Jaleel Green, maybe the best player in the draft this year. Lots of things can happen between now and the start of the season. Season going to start on time in October this year, so there's going to be a small break as well too, especially if you're the Milwaukee Bucks or the Phoenix Suns. You're going to get a shortened break as well too. Chris Paul had minor surgery. He's not going to be the Players Association president anymore, by the way. CJ McCollum was voted in as the NBA Players Association union president. He's a smart guy. If you've ever listened to him, heard him talk, he's going to help the league get to the next level because he understands and has the pulse of the league as well too. And he's a very funny guy as well too. All right, so that'll wrap up the NBA. Let's get to the NFL. What a Hall of Fame weekend this was this weekend. Both the classes of 2020 and 2021 were inducted. Peyton Manning's speech was unbelievable. He started out with jokes. He was getting on everybody. Tom Brady was in his section. He invited Tom Brady in. Tom Brady got booed by everybody there, and he was happy to be there. Of course, he was former teammates at the University of Michigan with Charles Woodson as well too. Peyton Manning made sure to include Edgerrin James, Marvin Harrison, their version of the triplets. They were the triplets after Michael Irvin, Troy Aikman, and Emmitt Smith. John Lynch, the great Tampa Bay safety, now the 49ers general manager, mixed in about 9 years of broadcasting with us at Fox. Did a great job there too as well. Everything that he does great. And right now the 49ers are in great shape because of John Lynch as well. Paul Tagliabue also got inducted into the Hall of Fame. He took the NFL to the next level from Pete Rozelle. That includes all the television contracts, the communication between owners and the union. I'm still not sold on the NFL Players Union as being a good union. They kind of cave into the owners a little bit more, and I think that's a problem that they have. All you got to do is look at the other unions. It's less of a partnership than it is in the other major sports. Hockey also has a problem with that, the owners dictating to them. Steve Atwater, the great safety from the Denver Broncos, also went in, also a Denver Bronco. Steve Hutchinson, if you never watched Steve Hutchinson play at Michigan or at Seattle or at Minnesota, what a career he had, one of the best guards of all time in the NFL. And Donnie Shell was on the terrible Towel Steelers of the 70s, the greatest dynasty, one of the greatest dynasties ever in the 1970s for the Pittsburgh Steelers, Donnie Shell. And Isaac Bruce, the greatest show on turf for the Kurt Warner, Marshall Faulk days as well. Torrey Holt was on that team as well too. And also going back to Pittsburgh, Bill Cowher was in. Troy Polamalu gets in this weekend as well too. Him and all his hair, what a great safety he was. What a great player he was at USC. A well-deserved honor for everyone that's been inducted into this NFL Hall of Fame as well too. If you get a chance to go on YouTube or ESPN or the NFL Network replays these speeches, get a chance to watch them. I'm going to go back. I've seen clips of every one. Peyton Manning, one of my favorites. Jimmy Johnson was a good one as well too. Tom Flores also got inducted. Tom Flores, a local guy here from the Oakland Raiders days as well. Friend, did broadcasting with my friend for a long time, for about 18 years. Now an ambassador to the Raiders, the Las Vegas Raiders. I know it's hard to say for some people, but it's still a Las Vegas Raiders. So a great overall weekend. The Hall of Fame game was moved to Thursday between the Cowboys and the Steelers, in which the Steelers won. Nobody cares. Pittsburgh -1, over under 34.5. Nobody cares. Preseason games start on Thursday. By the time we have our show on Thursday, we'll have the preseason lines up and we'll get a better idea of what's going on in NFL training camps. But I want to hear from you out there. Let me know what you think of training camp. Let me know what you hear from the news. Who's your team? Where do you think your team's going to fit? I am a Chicago Bears fan, loyal and true. Andy Dalton's my starting quarterback. Not sold on that. Justin Fields is going to start at some point this year. Don't know what game it's going to be. I'm trying to get some insight onto that. But if Andy Dalton comes out and goes 4-0, God bless him for that. But he is not the future of the Chicago Bears. Justin Fields is. They've got a pretty good defense right now going on in Chicago. Of course, the Packers, Aaron Rodgers showed up in training camp. The Packers still the favorite. The Detroit Lions lose Matthew Stafford. They get Jared Goff. They're going to be rolling around a little bit. And then Kirk Cousins. You hear Kirk Cousins got dropped by Minnesota Hospital as an endorser because of his anti-vaccine campaign. He's not going to get vaccinated. I don't know how the league's going to take that, but the Minnesota hospital that dropped him has every right to, because that's their policy of vaccinations. And if he doesn't follow the policy, then there's no reason for him to be an endorser of the hospital as well too. But Kirk Cousins does great work, great charity work. It's a personal decision. But if the NFL as an organization wants their players to be vaccinated, he has to fall in line with that. Otherwise, he just won't play. And it seems to be the case with some of these coaches and some other players who may end up sitting out 2021, or in the end may end up getting vaccinated and get back to practice as is. Right now, the contact tracing, the numbers have been down in the NFL. Haven't heard too many cases in the NFL going on right there as well too. All right, let's get to college football here a little bit. College football starts on August 28th. Nebraska, Illinois will be the first game on Fox of the season. It's a Big Ten game. Shout out to Dan Lust and his podcast Conduct Detrimental. You can get that anywhere you get your podcast. Great guest of ours, good sports attorney, great sports attorney, gives us all the insight on everything going on both with college football. And of course, somehow the Husker Nation ended up wrapping their collective arms around him and embracing him. So now he's the biggest Nebraska Cornhusker fan you'll ever see. And this is a lawyer from upstate New York in the heartland of Nebraska, following the Nebraska Cornhuskers. Anyway, Nebraska, Illinois to open it up, the game on Fox that weekend, August 28th through Labor Day weekend. A lot of games. We'll have the lines. We'll have all the conference breakdowns as we get on. We're attempting to get some guests on from some of the networks and some of the conferences to give us a lowdown and breakdown of what's going on as it relates to both on the field as well as the wagering part of it. All right, as far as the wagering part of it, if you're looking at future odds right now, the only teams that are below a plus 1,000 are right here on the screen. 5 teams are plus 1,000 or below. Alabama leads the way at plus 250. Shout out Casey Freelove. How you doing? Happy birthday, Casey Freelove, by the way. A very important part of the show. Happy birthday, Casey Freelove. Your Alabama Crimson Tide are plus 250. Not high odds, but apparently Bryce Young, a quarterback, has impressed enough sportsbooks to make them the favorite at plus 250. Clemson's had a little turmoil in the offseason. Dabo Swinney trying to get a team back together to maybe make another run at a championship game. They are plus 400. And Georgia and Ohio State are both plus 600. Ohio State lost a couple of guys. They lost Sermon from the running back core. They've still got a great defense, and they've still got a great defense, and they're going to be well to do with in that Big Ten. Georgia and Ohio State plus 600, and then Oklahoma, Lincoln Riley plus 700 right there. Nebraska, Illinois, as we said, opens up the college season on August 28th, and all the conference play will get going after Labor Day weekend, right about the same time the NFL does as well too. Lots of things happening. All right, the world famous unsponsored pick segment of the day is where we're at right now. Nothing but baseball. I'm staying away from the NBA Summer League. Charlie O will be back on Thursday with some picks, and don't forget to keep checking our Instagram and Facebook posts as we post picks every day by 6 Eastern, or on days where games start early before 6 o'clock. We'll post them out about an hour before each game starts, so that way you don't miss out on any of the games as well too. Again, Mondays, Thursdays, Fridays, right here on Facebook and YouTube Live. You can download, subscribe anywhere you get your podcast, anywhere you want to get sports information, sports wagering information. We're the show for you. All right, today, the Cincinnati Reds, minus 171. Luis Castillo's been on fire lately, 4-0 in the last 7 starts. He's been pitching very well. He gets the Cleveland Indians, who are on a downturn right now, 171 on the road, the Battle of Ohio tonight. Luis Castillo and the Cincinnati Reds improve on that 5-game winning streak. Chicago White Sox, 187, Lucas Giolito. He's had a couple of rough starts in the past, but they're going up against the Minnesota Twins. Bo Burrows is making his, I don't know if it's his major league debut. Let me see what he got here for Bo Burrows. Bo Burrows has an 11 ERA, so he's been in the big leagues, but I don't think he's made a start yet in his career. We'll get to that. We'll see if I got 9 innings pitched in 2021. He struck out 6. His ERA is 11, so he's given up 10 earned runs in 9 innings pitched to get to an 11 ERA. Lucas Giolito, minus 187 on the White Sox. They are red hot right now. They just come off a sweep at Wrigley Field over the hapless Cubs. Giolito, the star tonight for the White Sox, breaks his 2-game losing streak. San Diego, Miami. Joe Musgrove going tonight. Hometown hero Joe Musgrove has a no-hitter. Zach Thompson, Miami Marlins, no bats. Cold night in San Diego. Under 7.5 the way to go. Zach Thompson's pitched pretty well for the Miami Marlins. They were able to take 3 out of 4 from the hapless Mets last weekend, and then they were able to after this weekend, they come in this weekend at 12 games back. Yeah, 12 games back, minus 18 in the run differential. They get swept over the weekend. In Colorado. In fact, we mentioned the story about Lewis Brinson in the beginning. No need to repeat that. But Colorado took it to him over the weekend. They are on their way down to San Diego to probably get beaten up by the Padres. But the under 7.5 to play here. Look for Charlie's Picks on Instagram and Facebook every day by 6 Eastern. Vasi Vada Party here on Facebook Live, YouTube Live every Mondays, Thursdays, and Fridays. Mondays at 3 Eastern, Thursdays at noon Eastern, and Friday at 1 Eastern. Right here on Facebook and YouTube. You can download, subscribe anywhere you get your podcast. On behalf of everybody at Stables Media, make the money and run for Charlie O, who's on assignment. I'm Vasi Vada Party. Have a great afternoon. Good luck with your games. Enjoy the week, and we will talk to you on Thursday at noon Eastern, right here on Facebook Live and YouTube Live. Goodbye, everybody.